Hey guys, Scripted here with another video, and this one is of interest to me because of the reimagined sequels that I put together where I wrote Finn and Rey and even Ben very differently. But John Boyega reveals what he expected Finn's Star Wars story to be, and it's so much better. Boyega explains what he expected from Finn's story, and it's very different from what audiences ended up getting. Force Awakens marked a new era for the franchise, introducing a host of new characters alongside some familiar favorites. Boyega's Finn, a defecting stormtrooper, joins forces. Yeah, we already know that. Though there were teases in the 2015 film that Finn is force sensitive, this didn't play a big role in the subsequent movies, and his arc remains divisive. During a recent interview with Screen Rant's Liz DeClan at Fan Expo in Boston, Boyega reveals that he thought Finn would have a more Jedi-oriented story following The Force Awakens. The actor explains that he thought the teases featured in the 2015 movie were hinting at a future in which Finn and Rey would eventually become enemies. I think I assumed he was Force sensitive from the Force Awakens script, or at least by the time I got to the end of the Force Awakens script. I thought they were planning dual Jedis. I actually thought that they would Obi-Wan and Darth Vader us a bit, that we would turn against each other or something along those lines. Now, just for my perspective here, in my sequels reimagined, that's exactly what happens. Is Rey makes some mistakes. She, over the course of episode 8, makes mistakes, is tempted often, doesn't have a mentor, there's no access to Luke, there's a reason for that, a very good reason for that. And so she's lured into making a deal with Ben, with Kylo, to save the rebellion, and in exchange for her, but then on top of that, all the mistakes that she made, that she felt like it was a thing she had to do on top of that, and she ends up going dark, and her and Kylo have a rivalry, actually, and they're brother and sister, which is different, but then Finn is the good guy who sort of gets in the middle of them. He is a Jedi and he does fight, but in the end, he doesn't need to fight, and there's reasons for that, because of his impact on those two other characters. So, there was a really good way they could have done this. I think that way is way better. But they just didn't do it. And even just the idea of Rey going dark, I think a lot of us thought that too. She was always getting angry all the time. Even when she fights Kylo the first time, she gets very, very angry. And you saw that and thought, oh goodness, how did she beat this guy? Okay, so she got really angry and was tapping into the dark side. So maybe, and he wasn't ready for that, and so maybe that can explain that, despite the fact that she's obviously way too OP and knows too much. That's kind of where I got the idea for it. I was like, that makes way more sense. And then she just kept getting angry throughout the entire trilogy to the point where she's shooting lightning and nothing ever happens. She just stays good. It doesn't make any sense. And her going dark would have given a huge opportunity for Finn to be the counter to that. But they really screwed that up. And so he ended up being completely sidelined, essentially by Rian Johnson, because he went with the love story between Ben and Rey rather than the conflicting stories. And there was really nothing for Finn to do at that point. If they had made him a Jedi, what would he have really even done? Because in the end, it was all about Ben going good again and Rey never going bad and them having this Reylo stuff. Force Awakens was generally well received. I don't know if that's true. Kinda. I would say more well received than Episode 8 and Episode 9, which this article says became massively divisive among audiences. And Rise of Skywalker earned mixed reviews. I don't know anyone that likes the Rise of Skywalker. I guess I know a few, not in my personal life, but online. But mostly everybody hated it. In fact, a lot of the people that really liked The Last Jedi thought the Rise of Skywalker was even worse. There were a number of decisions that proved controversial in these latter two films. The Finn story is certainly among them. Instead of exploring his Force sensitivity, The Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker focus mostly on Rey and her Jedi journey, with Finn taking a back seat. Well, and then they tried to shoehorn in him having some sort of forcedness, and he feels, he knows how to deal with, hit the tower to take away the ability for all these ships to move out of the atmosphere on Exegol, and he's like, oh, I just feel, I can feel it. Even though it was really cheesy and lame, because it's like, well, there's one big tower, and it's moving around, and it's got lights on it, and it seems like that's connected. And then they moved it to another one of the ships, because for some reason, the Star Destroyers were just unable to move independently. Thanks, JJ. Anyway, so it was just really shoehorned in and crappy. Boyega himself has previously expressed frustration with Finn being sidelined in The Rise of Skywalker and of the lack of a clear plan across the entire trilogy. That doesn't mean, however, that he's not open to returning to Star Wars, and even hinted at Fan Expo Philly this past May that this could open a door for an exploration of Finn's Force sensitivity. So for me, everybody knows it's dependent on treating the character well. It's dependent on fulfilling the arc that was teased quite a lot during the process, and hopefully this time it's them approaching it by having a plan of what they're going to do throughout the whole series. I suspect they're going to try and have him become a Jedi now, post Episode 9, and Rey's going to teach him. Which, A, is lame, because she didn't even need a teacher, and B, it's way too late. It's too little too late. Like, that should have been dealt with in the sequels if they were going to do it. Presently, there are no concrete plans for Finn's return. It has been announced that Rey will return, and it's possible that Finn could appear. This movie was announced in 2023, and it seemingly has not been able to escape development. Well, I don't think it's ever going to be developed. Yeah, so all that to say, it was pretty obvious what they were supposed to do, and they just didn't do it. I don't know why. I don't know what they were thinking. You have this guy with a lightsaber in all the ads and in the posters, and he's fighting guys with it, and fighting Kylo with it. What was the purpose? And I do wonder what JJ would have done if he had had control of 8, because it just took such a left turn, and Finn's arc became just this. It was just stupid. Spent the whole movie searching for this guy on Canto Bight that could get them through the shields of the big Star Destroyer, and then didn't find the guy, got arrested, and then he happens to be in the cell they're in. It's just it's just not very good. And so, yeah, there was definitely somewhere to go. Let me know in the comment section. Like, I think everybody pretty much agrees, but let me know what you think about what they could have done with him, or maybe should have done with him, and if that would have at least helped improve the sequels. I mean, pretty much anything would improve them from what they are now, I would say. Let me know in the comment section what you think. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Always helps the channel. Feel free to check anything else on my channel, and have yourselves a really good day.